get started asking about how you became involved in starring in the film and when you maybe received the script and what you really liked about the overall story and character overall.
Robert Machoian and I, the writer-director, have been trying to work together for 10 years now. So we have attempted to make probably 3 films. This story specifically, Robert had a short called The Drift that we were both very excited about, but felt we needed obviously a full-length feature for our first project, not a short film. So Robert took The Drift and went to go do a pass on it, and about 6 weeks later he had The Killing of Two Lovers. And just to understand the timeline, yes, 10 years we've been trying to work together, but we decided to make a film in August. He finished the draft in October. We were on set shooting the day after Thanksgiving. So I was kind of with Robert throughout the process. And for me, I was drawn to the honesty of this character and the complexity of this man. And I was also drawn to the challenges the audience would face judging this human being in the first 5 minutes of the film, but then possibly having their mind changed over the course of the entire story.
Speaking of getting to work with Robert as the filmmaker on the movie, I also wanted to ask about that experience once shooting began and really collaborating with him as the writer director and really continuously working together and building your character throughout the film.
Again, we have been trying to do this for a long time, and we had shot a couple of little proofs of concepts, trying to get investors excited to help fund our projects. But this was the very first time that we had actually been on set and committed with money and a crew and other actors flying in and so forth. So I think the pressure was kind of on both of us in the beginning because we weren't sure if we were, we knew we liked one another as human beings, but we weren't sure if we were going to be able to work together and collaborate. And that was quickly extinguished. I mean, within 5 minutes of cameras rolling. Robert and I just clicked. I had we had so much time as he was writing the material to understand David. And I think Robert knows me as a father. So the way he structured the material gave me so much insight into who this guy was. And then when Robert kind of explained how he was going to shoot this film in these kind of landscape photographs, he kind of describes it if this film was a photo book, of just these images, which got me excited simply because I knew that I could live within the frame and that there were not going to be cuts. So almost like a performance on stage, you're allowed to kind of take any of the little moments that happen at the beginning of the scene and carry them throughout, and they're truly affecting you by the end, more so than when you're shooting it in a traditional format where there's a lot of coverage. You tend to have to kind of manipulate some of those moments that in these long takes happen naturally.
And speaking also of like those long takes and really working with the cinematographer on the film, I also wanted to ask about that experience. And while I was watching the film, I really liked the way it was visually shot. And for you as an actor, what that experience was like of really working with the camera and really figuring out how you wanted to present the story overall as well.
Robert is a photography professor at BYU University. So when it comes to framing a shot, Robert is quite special. And as he says, it's rare that he finds someone who's as talented as he is when it comes to composition. And I think Oscar is that guy. Oscar is a super talented young man. But Oscar was still finishing up like school at that point. I mean, he was still in college. We had most of our crew were just Robert's students that were helping us shoot this thing. We kind of shot this more as like a proof of concept, like a calling card to say, hey, look, we can make a movie for nothing. And I know no one's ever going to see it, but at least that you can give us $500,000 and we'll go make you a film. And we've just been very fortunate that people have responded to the story. So um, the intimacy of the shooting this film was very exciting for me. Having the camera so close at times allowed us as actors just to kind of be present, and it kept us from having to really kind of push any emotion so that it was registered, in the frame. And anytime that we had some of those wider shots, just working through the choreography of the piece, that was very helpful, and for the audience as well, as much as it's for the actors to kind of find the scene, but also for the audience to have a clear understanding of what this actor is going through as he kind of watches them navigate this world.
Also, speaking about the other characters in the film, I also wanted to ask about getting to work with your co-stars and building the family dynamic and what that experience was like of really collaborating together as a cast as well.
Karen, we were not stuck. We had the blessing, the fortune of shooting in a little town called Kanash, Utah, population 350. And want to make sure I give those guys the shout out. And we had Robert's children playing my children. So everyone was just there together all day, every day. And there were no trailers. There was, we all just kind of lived together and we ate together. So Chris and I had worked together on Lethal Weapon, and I just loved his work ethic and the way he approached acting. So I called him personally after sharing all of his stuff with Robert, obviously, and Robert agreed that he would make a great in the script. He was, tall man, and Seppi. We had called Libby and Junie, who cast me in Rectify, and I just said, "Hey guys, here are the children," and sent them Robert's kids. I said, "Can you find me an actress that that looks like she could be their mother and that has chops and that's willing to come play?" I was like, "There's no trailers. There's one motel and it's got 3 rooms connected to a St. Clair gas station." I said, "So there is no frou-frou, nothing. We're only going to have hair and makeup on a couple of days," and it was pretty much just to bloody me up, for some of the pieces. But it was a joy working with those guys because they came in so committed to the process, and we did indeed become a family throughout that process of shooting.
Also, speaking of getting to film on location in Utah, and I felt that also really helped build the story as well. And what was that experience like? Like you mentioned a little bit about being there, but just in general, do you prefer like shooting on location like this as well?
Robert and I just shot our second film, and we shot it here in my hometown. And I will say, making a movie and having to come home and feed the horses and the cows, and then maybe stop by the grocery store on the way home for my wife to grab some milk. I definitely, I was grateful to shoot here at home, but I do think being able to immerse myself into the work solely, kind of eliminating the distractions, I think just gives a richer, deeper character. So do I like being away from my family? No. Do I like having, as I kind of said before, 0 distractions? 100%.
And also, I wanted to ask, I saw you were also a producer on the film, and I wanted to ask about that experience and what that process was like of balancing the producing with the acting as well.
This last film was a little more challenging. With Killing of Two Lovers, it was so small, and so my first. I'll say this: I enjoyed writing the check for the film. I enjoyed financing the film, because it took the pressure off of someone in a suit who's looking for a return on their investment. Kind of holding that over us. We were able to come from just a place of creativity. So that side of it, I really love. And then the actual producing of the film, I enjoy that as well because, Robert and I we just kind of held one another in check as it related to quality control throughout the process and hiring the right people, um, and making the right choices. I produced the last film that we just did, and I'm working on two others. I, I'll say that I enjoy having my hands in all of it and have worked in so many different jobs over the 20 years. It's exciting because, again, working each department, it's easier for me to kind of problem solve, as opposed to kind of the producers we worked with in the past who just kind of shake their fist and yell, but yet they don't have any solutions necessarily. And I think Robert and I I'm grateful that A, we work well together, and B, that we've been solution based with the obstacles that have kind of come into our path.
Okay, I think that was mainly it, but thank you again for taking the time out. I appreciate it.
Thank you.